Hey guys, what's going on? Well, we get questions all the time on our page about how to set up a baitcaster. We've never really done a video about it, so here it is. Stay tuned. When you first get a baitcaster right out of the box, or right off the rack, or wherever you get them, what you're going to do, and this is for total beginner baitcaster people. So you have two things that I think are very important in terms of setting up your baitcaster. You have one, on the reel side, you have what is called the spool tension knob. And then usually on the back side or the other side, you have what is called the magnetic brakes or a braking system of some sort. Both are really easily accessible. On the inside of most baitcasters, you also have a set of brakes. You can go in there and dial it in even more. I wouldn't worry about that right out of the beginning. But the one thing that I would do, I'll show you this. Okay, the very first thing I would do is I would take my spool tension knob and I would tighten it down. Okay, and what I'm looking for is, hope you can still hear me, if when I hit the button, my bait doesn't move. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is, my button is still pressed in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly loosen that spool tension knob until my bait starts to fall. Okay, you'll see, there it goes. But what happened was, I'll try to pull this close. What happened was, whenever my bait went and hit the ground, I had some overrun. Okay, so let me get that out real quick.
And to get overrun out, you just gotta keep on pulling that line. Kind of managing the reel, the spool with your thumb.
Once you get it all out, reel it back in. Now, what I'm looking for whenever I go to loosen my spool tension knob is for that not to happen, okay? So right now it's falling pretty good. What I'm gonna do is barely tighten it a little bit. Whenever it hits the ground, I want my spool to stop, okay? There's no more overrun. So that's how the spool tension knob works. That's how I would set it up right out of the get-go. Now, the other side is your magnetic brakes, okay? So what's gonna happen is, when you're a newbie, I would tighten these down as far as it goes. I know it sounds terrible, and you won't be able to cast where you want to cast and how far you want to cast it, but that's how you need to start. Now, when you're casting a baitcaster, it's important for you to kind of, they call it feather the spool with your thumb. So I'll push the button in, but then my thumb is kind of controlling the spool. And I almost treat it like a Zebco, you know, where whenever I'm casting, I let go of the button. And so what you'll do is you'll practice casting, and that's a different video. This is just about how to set it up. So what I have to do is I have to feather that spool. As the line's going out, I'm barely touching the spool with my thumb. I can almost feel all the line going out. Now, whenever you have it tightened all the way down, what that's going to do is it's going to tighten up the spool, or it's going to stop the spool later on in the cast. The spool tension knob stops the spool early in the cast. That's what I've heard, that's what I feel like. And so what you're gonna do is, as you get more and more comfortable, you're gonna loosen these brakes a click at a time, okay? And you'll feel when certain baits you can throw with less brakes, certain baits you need more brakes. But mainly whenever I adjust these now, excuse me, the times that I adjust these now is when I'm throwing into the wind and with the wind. So if I'm throwing into the wind, that's going to stop my bait faster than the spool wants to stop. And so that's what your magnetic brakes are designed to do. So I'll turn them up whenever I'm casting into the wind. If I'm casting with the wind, it's going to help me. I can probably loosen them a little bit and get, I can bomb a cast even better that way. So that's the two main things I would start out with. If you're new to baitcasters, to recap, the spool tension knob, you're going to want, whenever you hit the spool tension knob, you're going to want your bait to hit the floor and for your spool to stop turning, okay? Now, as you get better, you can loosen that spool tension knob, and that just means you'll have to feather the spool a little bit more with your thumb and kind of be in control of it. That's when you get better and better. But at the beginning, when you hit the button, excuse me, when you hit the button, I want my bait to move, but when it hits the floor, I want my spool to stop, okay? And then the other side is these brakes on the opposite side of your reel. I want to tighten those down whenever I'm first learning. You won't be able to cast as far, but that's okay. As you get more and more comfortable casting, you'll be able to kind of loosen them up, and it might take you just 20-30 minutes to kind of get the hang of it. And if you ever overrun or you ever backlash, be patient. Don't cut out all your line. Be patient. Kind of grab the picks. Just keep on working it. It's going to take you time. I've lost plenty of spools of line, but I've also spent 20 and 30 minutes to save a spool of line. So there's a little kind of lesson on how to set up your baitcaster whenever you get it right out of the box or right off the rack. I hope that helps somebody. Let me know in the comments.